Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever the time you listen to this. Welcome back with me, Abdi Gusti, from Introduction to Film Studies Class A. And don't forget to mention my student number is 12 19 11 22 3102. And I'm from Airlangga University. So, welcome back again to my podcast. And in this podcast, I want to review a movie, an Indian movie called The White Tiger. I will review and give the narrative structures with A.J. Greimas' theory of this movie. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. So, The White Tiger is an Indian movie that released on January 22nd, 2021 on Netflix. So if you want to watch this movie, you can browse it on Netflix. This movie is directed and written by Ramin Bahrani and based on a book that released on 2008 with the same title, The White Tiger, by Arafin Adika, who won the Man Booker Prize from this book. Not only the book, the movie itself also won many awards such as AACTA Awards for Best Lead Actor and then Academy Awards for Best Adapted Screenplay. Oh my god, the screenplay is so great. And Asian World Film Festival for Snow Leopard Rising Star and etc. Many more. And this movie is also colored by many talented brilliant actors and actresses such as Adarsh Gaurav as Balram, Rajkumar Rao as Ashok. So Rajkumar is also the singer in India. And then Priyanka Chopra as Pinky Madam, who everyone knows as Miss World 2000 and the wife of Dick Jonas, and many more. Within 2 hours and 5 minutes, this movie is set around 2007 and 2010 in India, telling about Balram, a poor guy who comes from a slum named Laxmangar. So Laxmangar is a village in northern India. Since he was a kid, he had to work for his family, especially for his annoying grandmother. So Balram is a smart guy in the school, and his teacher told him that he is the white tiger because in every generation, there is always one white tiger who's born, and it is referred to brave as symbols. And his grandmother always told his son and grandson to work for her, meanwhile she just sitting around in the house and rules the house. Not only that, the villagers are forced to pay taxes through a treasure crazed landlord called the Stork. The stork has 2 children named Mukesh, or the people called him the Moon Goose, and Ashok, the buffalo. When Balram grows up, he leaves to the city to work as a driver for Ashok in Dhanbad. One day, to deal with tax fraud with officials, Balram has to drop off Ashok and his wife, Pinky, until finally there was a tragedy that was not caused by Balram, but Balram had to endure it. The plot of this movie is chronological, but sometimes we can see the flashback. The dialogue is mostly using English and Hindi. The performance of the actors is so brilliant, especially Adarsh. He manages to show the audience how unfortunate is the life of Balram's character, pointing out the real social inequality in India based on caste system. If I'm being honest, I was very concerned while watching this film, seeing the uneven economic conditions in India, which made many poor people not prosperous. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Not only that, the difference in decrease seen from castes such as high and low castes makes many people from low castes not have a high life worth as if they were born as suffering people. The rich people also act, well, arbitrarily if there is something they don't like. They abuse, scold, and curse their servants. In fact, they are also picky to servants based on their religion. So there is a scene where the former driver is Muslim, and he always hide his identity just because he did not want to fired by the boss. And the iconic words is when Madame Binky says, "That's why this caste system thing is total bullshit, forcing Balaram's principle of life to serve." This is different from Pinky's she's more Western principle that everyone can break the rules, break the boundaries, everyone can be whatever they want if they try, and don't get stuck in a situation just because they don't see themselves as a bright person. In addition to the social gap, this film also shows the cultural differences between Indians who live in India directly and Indians who live abroad, especially America. The Pinky character. It can be seen from Ashok's family, who always looks down on people of low caste and acts on their own to low caste people, while Pinky, who is from America, respects other people more and doesn't look at people from high or low castes. Then there is a scene where Balaram interrupts the conversation between the stork, Mukesh, and Ashok. Then Mukesh immediately hit Balaram, which was considered rude and interrupted the conversation. Ashok also said that Mukesh's action could be criminalized in America for hurting workers. But the stork says they are in India and there is no such rule. Talking about camera movement, I think the most of amazing camera movement in this movie is a medium close-up which shows Balaram confused in the market after learning that his boss made him sign a letter that he was the perpetrator of the hit and run. Me and maybe the audience could immediately feel how angry Balaram was at the time. Plus the loud of voices that made the mood uneasy. Also, the scene at the market when Balaram was contemplating an approach by a beggar woman who insisted was also very epic. He was very angry and made me and maybe other audiences also get emotional with the beggar woman. Talking about costumes, well, most of the cast accurately depict India. Several times men are shown wearing kurta pajama, but the rest are formally dressed. Meanwhile, Balaram always using a driver's uniform. And then here, the women are more often shown using sharara, gagra joli, or sari. However, again, Pinky wear a different clothes herself. She more often use formal clothes such as blazers for daily use and very typical of America. In fact, her accent is more American than the other characters who still seem bold English Indian. Move to the theory. I'm going to talk about narrative theory by A.J. Greimas. There will be subject, object, sender, receiver, helper, and opponent which must be studied. First is subject, the actor who entered into an agreement with the sender and considered that it was their duty to obtain the object. The subject here is Balaram. Second is object. This is what senders want and something they don't have, but also the subject wants to reach it either. The object here is a red bag full of money that the Ashok family gives to government to bribe. Third is sender. the acting that moves the story, so that the narrative structure could create. The center here is Ashok. Balaram works as Ashok's personal driver, not only as a driver but also his mate. Balaram tries his best to work and be loyal to Ashok, but his family's treatment of him irritates him, especially Ashok, who is two-faced, which makes Balaram think of a way to take Ashok down, which is to take his red bag and kill him. And then fourth is receiver, the actor who's got the object. The receiver here is Balaram. He manages to kill Ashok by stabbing the bottle pieces many times. Then he takes the red bag and runs away. He takes the money and starts a driver rental business, then changes his appearance and uses Ashok's identity. Fifth is helper, the actor who helps the subject to get the object, which is nobody. Balaram does everything himself. And lastly is opponent, the actor that hinders the subject's process of getting the object, who is also nobody because when Balaram did his action, it was done when it was raining and was on deserted street, so nothing would stop him. Overall, The White Tiger is worthy enough to be seen because it's not only for entertain, but it is also gives knowledge to the audience about culture in India, the social life, etc., and how they struggle with life. Okay, and I think that's enough for me. Thank you for listening, and I hope you get knowledge from hearing my podcast. And see you soon. Goodbye.